Hello and welcome to the Heinz Athletic Center for the matchup between the LIU Sharks and the Iona Gales. I'm Elizabeth Riccio alongside my broadcast partner Shelby Armstrong. Shelby, what's this matchup going to look like today?
This matchup is going to be really exciting. I believe that it's the first meet for both programs, and both programs are in their third year of competition. So both of these schools actually added the sport around the same time, so have had the same amount of time on the mat. Really exciting to see how both programs have transformed and grown and changed over the last 2 years going into this next season.
The past 2 years, they also faced off against each other. The Gales are 2-0 in this record. What's their history been like?
Right, that is accurate. So the first 2 times that they played LIU in the first year and the second year, they did win. Iona started their first season very, very strong. So, we attribute a lot of that to transfer portals across both programs as well. But yeah, they've been a very strong program since day one. So this is the first heat of the compulsory event. You have 4 different heats. The first heat is going to be the acro event. So the officials are looking for both of these groups to look exactly the same. All of these skills are the same skills you'll see Iona do, so you're not going to get into that optional portion until we leave this event. So, every move that happens is supposed to look identical to the group next to them. No movement, pointed toes, synchronization, all of the things are what our judges are going to be looking for today.
This compulsory event really is basically the building blocks of the acrobatics and tumbling sport. They get reviewed every 3 years by the NCATA.
Yeah, no, they do. So essentially, in the first couple of weeks and maybe months that any program is together, you're going through these basics of the compulsory event because they are the building blocks for the harder skills that you're going to be seeing. So while it looks very basic, the hardest part is no movement, right? Looking exactly like the group next to you, the person next to you. And what's really exciting when we get to the tumbling heat, the last heat in this event, you'll see 8 athletes who have to do the same exact thing for 4 or 5 different skills. So that's really where you see the athleticism show. That's really where you see the strength show, and the attention to detail and precision for our sport is really found, I think, in the compulsory event.
Each heat of the compulsory event is up to 10 points for a perfect score. The total of the event is 40 points, so that is what the goal is for the day.
Yeah, so in the compulsory acro, obviously most teams want to aim for in the 9s, 10 always being the goal, but staying in those high 9s is really ideal. And the compulsory event can honestly be the event that sets the teams apart really early and creates that large gap that one team will have to make up for moving into the second event. So we saw LIU do the compulsory acro. You're going to see Iona do the same exact thing. They figure it out. When the athletes have been here for long enough, they just know what's supposed to happen, and they'll just put themselves on the mat. So something Jackie has really done with every team that she's coached has created such a strong expectation for cleanliness, right? You can see they almost look like an army. Everything is straight. Everything is deliberate. They do everything with a purpose. There's not a lot of rattling in the programs that she's on top of.
She's built quite a roster in her few years here since joining the Iona Athletics program.
Yeah, I think this year she has 40 athletes on the team. And keeping in mind, only 24 will compete in that very last team event. So So you only have 24 people that are really on the mat. And then you have room for 4 additional people, meaning 28 can be on that travel roster to be specialists or, as we talked earlier, utility players that you could have them. Maybe they're not in that team event, but they might be a top for some event, and that's all that they do. But they don't have, any other places that they really shine. So you'll see, those 4 extra people not always being alternates. Sometimes they are those specialty players.
In the compulsory event, what exactly are judges looking for in the minutia, in the little details?
Right. So any bobble is going to be a deduction. Any step that anyone takes is going to be a deduction. Any time that one group is not perfectly synced with the other group is going to be a deduction as well. You can see there's no movement. We're not seeing any steps. So anytime a base takes a step as well, that's going to be a deduction that the officials are looking at and jotting down.
How large can those deductions be?
They can go up to like 0.3 per occurrence. And even there, where they're in that straddle where their legs are up, they have to be at 90 degrees. They'll get a deduction of it for an improper position if it's lower. So the second heat of compulsories is compulsory pyramids. So you're going to see those 2.5 high structures. They're both going to be doing the same things, and you're looking for the same things. So that was pretty clean. That was pretty good. Synchronized catches, high catches. So something the officials are looking for as well is when they catch that toss coming out of the pyramid, if the booties drop below a certain level, if the legs are above the booties. They're looking for different things because if the way it's caught is weird, then that means something up top happened that was weird. So the officials are going to think back like, oh, they must have anticipated that dismount, right? Okay, so they're not waiting. Now it's not synchronized. There's so many different little deductions that kind of fold into the other if you just eliminate them from the top.
The Sharks definitely seemed happy with that performance. You could hear them very audibly cheering after that one.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of leaders on this team, too. There's a lot of returners. So I want to say, most of this heat right here is made up of returning athletes.
How important is it to build that community over returning athletes when it comes to such a large team base?
It is so important because of that, right? You have to have a really strong culture. You have to have people who are leaders on top of it that are respected, and having those returning athletes, having those seniors right there, from day one. They eat, sleep, and breathe that program. And ideally, you have those athletes grow up, and as they bring in freshmen, just creates an even stronger program. We never know what the officials are going to do, but sitting here not being the official, I feel like those pyramids, they look pretty identical. We're probably going to see a pretty close score there, based on the small deductions you would be looking for the cleanliness, the synchronization, the leg placement, the catches, all of those things all looked pretty strong from both teams.
The even field of the compulsory event just sets up such strong foundations in both teams. What is it like when we get to the more unique events later on?
Right. So compulsories is fun because when I was coaching, what I would always tell my teams is like, there's nothing separating you from the top team. It's the same skills. It's the same exact skills. It's who's doing them better. We can do these skills. We're not doing anything that we can't do. When you get to the optional events, you're going to see start values fluctuate. You're going to see teams with a little higher start values than others, a little more strength than other programs, across the board in every meet throughout this season. So that's where you get to really see the individuality of the program shine. So right here is heat 3 of compulsories. This is the compulsory toss. So both teams will do a 450 salto, so basically a back tuck basket. And the things the officials are looking for here are the sets on the top. So they want to see their arms go straight up over their ears, arms by their ears. They want to see that complete straight position before they pull the legs over for the flip. And that's going to also translate into what the catch looks like as well. And the synchronization here as well. So you can see a little bit, there was a little bit of anticipation on those groups, not that full set all the way to the top. You almost want to become weightless before you hit your flip. It's funny, when I first started acrobatics and tumbling, we did tosses like cheerleaders did. And I don't know, you've probably seen cheerleading. You know, they're holding the shoulders and they jump in, because I came from competitive cheerleading in high school. So my freshman year, maybe my sophomore year, we still did those old baskets, getting in, feet, jumping, throwing. It wasn't until maybe my junior year that across the sport we just started standing. We're like, let's try it like acrobatics this way. And it never went back.
That's one thing that's so impressive about the sport, the diversity of backgrounds between these student athletes. Many from gymnastics background, many from competitive gymnastics background. I've even heard some having diving backgrounds.
Yes, dancing. Great synchronization there. I'd say sometimes, you'll see in a toss and the catch, if the feet are a little bit to the side, the officials might say, there was a deviation, or there's just a whole list of deductions that kind of come through, and the coaches usually understand them, and understanding to the athletes what the deductions are, trying to let them know, hey, this is what we're getting, this is why. And sometimes we're not always right? Sometimes we think we fixed it, and the next meet you get the same one. Very clean, arms go straight up. Great synchronization there.
Next heat is the tumbling event. Which tumble passes are we expected to see in the compulsory event?
Right, so there's 4 different skills. You have 8 athletes on the floor at one time competing them. So the first skill is a standing back tuck. The second skill is a standing a toe touch back tuck. A lot of our gymnasts think straddle back tuck. You have a back handspring back tuck, so that's where their hands are touching the floor. And then they hit that back tuck as well. And then they all go to the side, and they'll do a round of back handspring layout together. So 3 different skills there. Hitting all those salto skills in each one. So the hard part of this is now each athlete is getting deductions, right? Instead of just one individual athlete tumbling, every time there's a step, it's getting deducted.
These athletes really have to be a unit and move in complete synchronization.
This heat is such a mental heat, because it's basic skills, things they learned when they were, 6, 7, 8 years old. But being out here on the stage, not being able to take a step is the hardest part. Even there, they want to see arms go straight up. Pretty good. The synchronization was pretty good. I think we saw a few steps there, maybe a few body checks, but overall it was a pretty good showing. So one thing about Jackie and how she has always came out on top in her programs, even if it was the first year in the tumbling events, she really drills technique down to I'm sure the athletes go crazy in the head how much she has them do so many different drills and so many different things. And I do think she has a gymnastics background from before college, so a lot of that you'll see the difference in maybe a coach that had a cheerleading background, which was me, and then someone who had a gymnastics background. They really have a focus on the technique and how to generate the power. And I mean, men not being super strong as freshmen, and by the time they're competing, it's a whole different person, and just the power able to help them to generate. And her training has always been something I admired about her, and always knowing when I played her in any year, no matter what team I was coaching, I was not going to beat her in tumbling. I was not going to.
Next in the compulsory tumbling heat will be Iona.
Iona's turn to tumble. Let's see how Coach
exciting.
Jackie's squad does.
You see, they're like a mini army. She figures that part out always. So that is the last heat of the compulsory. So we'll wait for those scores, and then we head into the acro event next. So you'll see 3 different heats. The first one has 5 elements. So what you're looking for is for that group of athletes, it'll be 1 group up to 5 athletes. Sometimes it's only 2, who will compete 5 different elements. And then heat 2, you'll see 6 different elements competed, but now it's synchronized. So from here on out, you should think that the second heat in every event is a synchronized heat, meaning there's always 2 groups doing it. And they will compete 6 different elements. And then we have a 7 element for heat 3. So now 1 group, up to 5 people, will compete 7 different elements, varying start values. So you're going to see start values kind of go over the place. You're going to see skills kind of changing as well.
Welcome back to the Hines Athletic Center. We just saw the compulsory heats between LIU and the Iona Gales. Next, we're going to see the acro event. Shelby, what were your thoughts on the compulsory event?
The compulsory event, I think, is the most exciting. It kind of lets us know, we're going to set the tone for what's going to happen for the rest of the meet. You're seeing, okay, these basic skills, the teams that are stronger and in which area, and sometimes it's not always consistent. Some teams might win a few heats and the other might win the other heat. If you can win the entire event, awesome, but,
Here are our current totals for our scores. Iona just ahead by a little more than 2 points, 37.55 to 35.65. A good start for the Gales after the compulsory event.
This group is really good. They've been working together for a few years, perfecting these skills to be able to do them without help. So you'll just see these 2 out here completing those 5 elements.
This has a start value of 10. Shelby, can you break down exactly what that means?
Right, so it's the difficulty of each of your skills on top of that base score that the heat already holds, right? So 1-to-1 connections, which is like this right here, where it's 1 person on the ground, and 1 top is going to score higher than if they were to have a second person behind that kind of assisting. That was pretty strong, a little bit of bobbles, but no falls. Very, very good for their first showing for the season.
Kylie
Iwanaga, yes.
Iwanaga, my apologies.
Iwanaga,
Already
she's-
had a smile on her face before even finishing the event, feeling very pleased with herself.
She is a force to be reckoned with. She works so hard, and this is her last year. She's a senior, and she transferred to LIU actually for the first year that LIU had a program. So she came from another school and transferred over and was immediately, an asset on the mat. And then Ari as well, who is our top, Ariana, she is, getting ready to leave as well. And so I think that's really, really exciting for them to be able to come out here, especially the first heat of the acros, and to nail that skill. Very, very impressive. You'll see between both teams a lot of inverted skills. So you're going to see those handstands, those one-to-one handstands on each other. As these years have gone on, teams have been able to get more and more creative with what they're doing. You'll see teams, I don't know if we do today, maybe doing the one-handed handstand. So we're really, really shifting to a true acrobatic skill, right? Which are things you see in like the circus and the Olympics. We're having these athletes come in from competitive cheerleading, gymnastics, dance, diving, and we're just teaching them body control and how to hold themselves in the air, and it's really, really cool.
The amount of strength required to pull off feats like these, it's no joke.
Oh, absolutely. So same here, you'll see the same requirements. They need 5 skills. Obviously right there, higher start value when you've got a one-to-one connection. You also only get 45 seconds to go through this heat. So if you go overtime, it's a deduction. You see the 45 on the screen. Nice. They're definitely happy about that one. Nice. I mean, in the air, she's smiling. That's so great. They're happy with that one. Yeah.
Annabella Cece and Paige Delman, that pair there, pulling off this feat for the first round of acro.
Yeah, I think Jackie told me that Paige was injured last year, so she didn't compete last year. So this is her year on the mat, which is super cool. Obviously, she spent that year getting stronger because that was impressive.
Absolutely.
The second heat in the acro event will be the 6 elements. Up first is a start value of 9.25 LIU.
So, like I said before, you'll see 2 groups out at the same time completing those 6 elements, which adds another level of, pressure, making sure each group looks the same. A few wobbles I think we saw there, a few synchronization things, maybe a few steps, but overall pretty strong performance. Some of those skills we saw in the compulsory acro event. So what you'll find too with programs is sometimes it's better to play it safe for the first meet because you don't want to peak too early, right? And then we have nowhere to go moving forward. So to do those safer skills that you're going to keep in the air and you can perfect them and make them really clean, get a nice score, and then up that start value as the season goes on.
The Gales will hit the mat next for their synchro acro heat.
Next, the start value of 9.95 Iona.
Nice, those one-to-one connections.
Oh.
Unfortunately, having a fall in that last skill. So something about our sport, when we have a fall in anything, you get a deduction for whatever skills were missed. So if they fell and, they didn't complete that skill, and you stated you were completing that skill, that's a deduction on top of whatever deductions you're already getting for all the other skills that were competed. So essentially they're omitting the special requirements, right, because they didn't make it to that dismount or they didn't make it somewhere. And we can watch here, it kind of depends if she, fell after completing the skill, but just fell in that skill, or if she missed an entire skill from the fall. It's a lot of stuff someone with no acro knowledge is like, what are you talking about? There's a lot going on. You see how they rushed back because they wanted to try to get back to complete that last skill, so they didn't get another hit from missing that skill.
On a time crunch as well, right?
On a time crunch, yeah. So, sometimes if something falls, if it's early on, maybe they can go back and redo it within the time frame, right? Hopefully not falling again for another deduction. But when you have two groups going, it's hard to do that because that group is going to keep on going. So, to be able to start over and do it again for the left side group, given that maybe they had fallen sooner than that, is really tough. It's not easily executed. We had a funny situation last year at LIU with that same thing, and neither group knew what was going on. We, laughed about it after, but so it's a little harder in that heat than the other individual heats to be able to restart if you fell. Now we're looking for 7 different elements. Nice strong landing, great set. So John at the top here, she's actually from Spain. Yeah, they're happy about that one. You had actually a group of returners other than the counter, so all 3 of those athletes were returners. And 2 of them actually having been transfers in previous years. Nice. So you see how there's an assist on the back of that. So when we talk about start values for that skill, if it's a 1-to-1, meaning no one's behind it, it'll score a little bit higher. As far as start value goes, of course, execution still comes into play when the actual score is announced. And then we have Iona to close off the 7-element heat. Jackie said she didn't have a whole lot of freshmen competing this meet yet. Most of them still needing a few, a little more time to get ready. So she's got mostly returners on the mat, and a heavy emphasis on the transfer portal that really helped her out in the last 2 years too.
Teresa Jennings looking very focused on top.
Nice. They and the team seem to be happy with that performance. Very clean.
ATA ranked Iona Gales 4th in the preseason poll. We are just now getting our scores from the Acro event. Iona with a 64.5 and LIU with a 62.4. Can you talk a little bit about how the difficulty of each of these heats went into the scoring of this?
Yeah, so, we saw some falls, we saw some bobbles, so it's not always, the best when you have a high start value and then there's a mistake like that, so it is going to bring that score down. So, I would say that the spread isn't that far off. To have, just about 2 points lead is a really good place to be for both of these programs going into this pyramid event. So what we're looking for right here in this first pyramid is going to be an inverted pyramid. So both teams are required to do something inverted, meaning the top has to be essentially upside down in some way, and typically ends up with your stronger programs in a handstand. And everybody forgets about the people on the bottom of the pyramid that are really holding that thing up. You look at the mids, you look at the tops, but there's people down there who just have to hug for dear life against those legs to not move. It's very, very impressive what they're able to accomplish.
These pyramids have to have at least 3 layers, so every time we're always looking all the way up, but sometimes you miss the people on the bottom who are holding it all together.
Exactly. And that's what we say, to the teams. I'm like, you are the most important part of this pyramid. If you go down, everyone goes down. So making sure you have a really strong, solid foundation down there. Athletes who have, stronger legs, they can hold without movement, and they can kind of balance their weight on each other, almost counterbalancing the shifts. You can see the replay right here. So, what the officials are going to be looking for is, just execution of each of these skills. So, when she goes to this handstand, are there any bent arms? Are the legs in an improper position? Are they not even, right? Are the toes not pointed? When she falls, does she deviate, right? There's a little bobble in that catch. So all those little things they're looking for to take those tiny micro deductions that all add up to a number nobody likes at the end of the day. But overall, that was really strong heat.
Iona Gales hitting the mat with a starting value of 10.
As you can see, Iona has a few more athletes out here than they need. So there's actually no maximum number of athletes you can have in the pyramid event. And a lot of it, you'll see those athletes in the back are there for safety. So you can actually have athletes back there that aren't part of the actual heat, but they're just spotting. So in case she were to fall off the back, she's not going to fall to the ground. Nice, very good.
They seem ecstatic.
And you can see through these heats here, each team both has a starting value at 10.0. So that's where it gets really exciting when you're in the optional events and both teams have a 10.0 start value. That means we're both doing similar hard skills. Who's going to execute them better? Who's going to show up on the neat day, right? Because it's different every time you step on the mat. And it depends on the officials that you have. Maybe their backgrounds are stronger in cheerleading, so they're not as tough on tumbling. They're tougher on the stunting portions. And vice versa, if you have a judge that's a gymnastics background, they're going to be tougher on the tumbling. You're going to see those tumbling scores lower than you might see from meet to meet.
How are those start values determined?
For tumbling or for pyramids?
Pyramids,
yeah, so
since
we have a whole scoring system that all the coaches see, and everybody in NCATA kind of has put a hand into creating, and you have options from pyramids. So you can't actually ever go out there and just do whatever you want. There are kind of drop downs of all of like a bank of skills that you're able to do, and then every year you're able to submit skills to be evaluated and added to the scoring system if there's a good reason to, right? You have a scoring committee that looks through that. So actually Baylor submitted a pyramid this year and competed it yesterday, a pyramid that has never been competed before in our sport, which is super cool.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I believe Iona is competing a toss soon, if not today, that this will be the first time that toss is competed. So again, the second heat of all of our events are going to be that synchronous heat. So both teams are going to have two groups out. This time we're seeing bridges, so they're in back bends, holding people up, which isn't a skill that happened when I was in school. It was something I had to end up coaching through my years as a coach, and you could not have paid me to get in a back bend and hold a group up. And what's funny is when I was coaching, I wanted to understand why a pyramid wasn't working, so I just said, I'm gonna admit it. I'm gonna stand in it and hold her and stand on the legs. I fell immediately before any weight was over me. So it is really, really impressive what these athletes are able to do and what the coaches just tell them to do and tell them how to do it, and they figure out what works for them. It's really cool. That was pretty good, pretty strong, good synchronization. And if an athlete doesn't have shoulder flexibility, they can't do this. They can't be the bottom of this. They come around nice and tight. Nice straddles, both level.
Carrying that
at 360 down.
Amount of weight while being upside down virtually. It's wildly impressive.
So right now we're seeing a freshman right here on the right side on the bottom, number 46, Anya Heller. A freshman on the bottom of this pyramid. Welcome to Iona Acrobatics and Tumbling. You're going to be in a bridge, and you're going to be holding up two people.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe those skills were very similar, LIU's and the Gales. They had very similar pyramids today.
They do, and there's nothing against that. You know, there's nothing that says you can't do that. If it's in the scoring system and it scores a 10 and your team can do it cleanly and safely, you know, you'll see a lot of similar skills out there. Because why? Why not? You know, if it's a 10 as well, we know we have it. And now you're going to see a lot of programs who do compete this skill. Whereas, you know, 3 years ago, you maybe didn't. It was going to be those few programs that were a little stronger. So that just goes to show how much stronger across the board the athletes in every program are getting, the programs themselves are getting, the coaching is getting, the training is getting, that every program is able to pull out those 10.0 skills. So this next heat is going to be the open heat for the pyramids. So there's no real requirements. It's not synchronized. You don't have to be upside down. You can kind of do whatever you want. And that's where you get to kind of, all right, what's going to be harder but different. So this is Logan. Lombardi is the mid. We have Christina De Vincenzo as the top. They're both juniors, and they're both from Long Island, so they get to stay close to home. But Logan actually transferred to Long Island University from University of Kentucky. She was a gymnast at the University of Kentucky, and was able to find her way in acrobatics and tumbling, and she does really well. She's really, really strong. So that's the last heat of the pyramid event. We actually go into halftime, and the scores aren't announced until the last 3 minutes of halftime. So we won't find those pyramid scores or the first half scores until the last 3 minutes of the halftime.
Currently, as it stands, the Gales are ahead 64.5 to 62.4 after the acro event. We will have to wait until 3 minutes.
Yeah, we have to wait. Yeah, so we can talk about rankings a little bit. So this year, I believe Iona is ranked 4th in the coaches preseason poll, which is really exciting. So top 8 goes to nationals at the end of the year. Of course, what the nationals rankings end up being is going to be different from what the coaches polls are. But for them to be in the top 4 in the coaches poll is really awesome in their 3rd year. I believe last year at this time, they were number 8. And they did end up making it to nationals and competing in nationals. LIU at this time last year was ranked number 14 of the top 15 that are ranked in the preseason poll, and they are currently not ranked in that top 15 going into this season.
The Gales just a little bit ahead. What can the LIU Sharks do after halftime to try to pull ahead?
Yeah, well, I'm just speaking from experience, knowing Iona. They are a very strong toss team in basket tosses. And up next is going to be basket tosses after halftime. And then they're a very strong tumbling team. And after basket tosses is tumbling. So, you know, LIU is going to have some strong, clean tosses and some strong, clean tumbling.
Last heat of the pyramid for the Gales.
Doing something different here. And you see those people standing in the back for safety reasons. Really strong.
NCATA All-American Ty Upton on top.
I mean, I feel like she's been competing forever. She was at Gannon. She transferred over here with Jackie. I believe last year was her first year over here at Iona. This is her second year. She's finally graduating. I know they're going to miss her, absolutely going to miss her. But she has been such a strong athlete in her career and for Iona as well. And then coming in those inaugural years with Iona with the experience that she has and already knowing Jackie as a coach, I'm sure, helped that program to really see great heights in these first couple years. No movement, no steps. It's going to be really hard to beat them in that pyramid event for sure.
Very impressive as we wrap up. Those start values really give Iona an edge, don't they?
It does. It really gives them an edge. They're like I said before, they've always been a strong toss team. They've always been a strong tumbling team, and that's any program Jackie's coaching. Those are two events that they're ready for, and make up most of the score of the second half.
Really,
so that's really where we're going to see the edge out.
A testament to her recruiting as well as her coaching, just having that start value edge as we jump into the toss event.
So we're headed into the toss event. You'll see 3 heats. The first heat the requirement is just to do a 450 salto. So at the beginning when we saw those tosses and it was just the back tuck, back toss, that's, the minimum you could do that. You just have to complete a flip where you miss your feet, whether that's forward or backwards, right? Or we have some Arabian tosses. So this is where you're going to see some spinning. You're going to see some spinning and flipping at the same time. You might see some kicks and spinning and flipping. It's going to make you like, what? How many injuries do they get in practice? A lot. You have athletes. I mean, my base in college, I broke her nose in a toss, and she had to have surgery on her nose. She got rhinoplasty. School got to pay for it, right? So really exciting, but not really. And then she had to wear a mask. So you'll see some athletes that might come out with a mask on to protect their faces. You see concussions. Training safely is really important for tosses. Most schools will have a toss belt that you'll see like Cirque du Soleil trains with. We bring those into our schools so that we can have our athletes train those skills without the impact on the bases and hurting our bases. The strength of the group in the basket tosses is so important. But yeah, that first heat's going to be the 450 salto, and then the second heat will be a synchronized heat, and then the third heat will be an open heat where you can kind of play with what you want to do.
Clock is winding down, and we are ready to start the toss event. Start value for LIU as they take on the first heat.
So our top here is a returner, number 14. That's Kylie Iwanaga, her base number 17. You have Danica Pro-K, the other base, and you have Sidoni as the back spot. So that would be an Arabian salto toss. So just a 360 spin, not a double spin. So you might see Iona do that same skill but with 2 spins. So giving them that higher start value.
Can we talk a little bit about the evolution of the toss event? You mentioned earlier that you were more akin to cheer stunts at the beginning of
the way we would enter into it, yes. And the front spot here is actually a freshman. So the rest of the group is going to be returners, which is super cool. So, the evolution of the toss. So that skill actually does come a little bit from cheerleading. That Arabian, you'll see that a lot in cheerleading and co-ed stuff. So, that's what's really impressive about our sport is it's all females out there doing these things. Sometimes better than you see the co-ed cheerleader teams doing it. No offense. So, tosses. The evolution, we've gotten harder tosses, more schools to do harder tosses. I think tosses is one of the hardest areas to increase your start values as a program. You have to have a really strong training equipment. You really do. If you don't have a toss belt, it's very hard to get those elite level skills safely. And this is where our diving athletes come in, right? You see it up here, like a tops, like a diver. Absolutely.
Very similar to a diving twister.
Yep. Very clean as well. I didn't see any steps in those bases. Just very clean lines. And you'll see, too, you might have tops on a team that can do the skill, but their lines aren't good, right? Maybe it's a little, wonky or whatever it is.
That heat, Iona had a start value of 9.90. So an advantage in the start value already.
I believe that skill used to be a 10.
Wow.
Years ago, it used to be a 10. So now it's getting harder to achieve those 10.0 tosses. I think Iona in Heat 2 has a 10.0. I don't know what the skill is, but I'm going to guess it has 2 spins in it. And maybe a kick. Maybe an Arabian at the beginning.
LIU takes the floor for their synchronized toss with a start value of 9.4.
You've got 2 returners on the top here. Christina DiVincenzo on the left. Lila Campbell-Stephen on the right. Both 2 back full tosses. So we call that a back layout 360. And you can see in the groups, if we watch the replay, we need to pay attention to the bases. What their feet are doing when they throw, what their arms do when they let go of the top. One of the biggest things in this event is having bases that explode off the ground and follow through completely with the toss. That's what's really going to get that extra height on your tops. And then, of course, the tops arms going straight up, hitting that straight position, which we don't quite see there before they pull the toes for that flip. So that's why you see a little bit lower height than you would expect. But those are all different things that all add up together to get those tosses to have minimal deductions.
Explosiveness and control seems to be the name of the game for the toss.
Yes. We should do a live stream of the weight room.
Oh, yes.
See what's happening, when they're lifting, see the training. It's very sport specific. A lot of what you do in the weight room has to directly correlate to what you're doing on the mat, and that also goes for injury prevention. You can see a lot of those injuries, ACL tears, Achilles, things like that, obviously unavoidable, but strengthening, around learning how to land, learning how to fall out of things has been really helpful for the athletes to prevent injuries as much as possible.
I've heard Coach Jackie compare it to football, the female football.
Yes, I think we probably use more tape than a football team. Yeah,
Yes.
More ankle tape, wrist tape, elbow tape. Yep. Even if you think you don't see tape on somebody, there's tape on them. So this is the 10.0 star value. We've got tie up here again. Yep, so 10.0, I said there's going to be 2 spins and probably a kick. So that is a kick double full. Essentially, we've got better terms for it, but what they did, but with a kick and another spin, which is very hard skill to achieve. Actually, the one I broke my base's nose on in college, trying to do that, I got lost in the air, came around, fist blazing. We didn't have me do that skill anymore. But, if you don't have that training equipment in your gyms to be able to learn these skills, it's really hard to just go out there and show them how to do it and tell them how to do it, because you have to feel it. And the only way to feel it without that training equipment is to knock people out when you come down.
Yeah.
So, you see, when you see a team that doesn't have strong tosses, it's going to be in that training.
When they're flying through the air in those tosses, do they spot and try to find themselves in that capacity?
Yeah, but again, you got to think the skills they're doing in that toss are similar to skills they're doing on the floor that they've been doing their whole lives. So I'm not going to lose myself. The difference is I have to rely on other people to throw me instead of me pushing off the floor. There's a little bit of a push through the toes, but I can't jump off of that toss. I have to lift off of that toss, as opposed to me generating my own power on the floor. So that's where you're going to see maybe really strong tumblers who it takes them a second to be a strong top, because they have to release control. And then you find in your gymnasts, which I always found as a coach, my gymnasts do not want to release control. They're just so used to having control of everything. So it would take them a second to be able to do those acro skills. So now we're in the final heat in the toss event, the open heat, with Christina DiVincenzo as the top. Really good, really high. Nice clean catch. Feet together, legs straight, all the good things. So you watch here, the feet, the arms, right? Full extension. So they're, fully extending her, getting her off of their hands, and keeping the hands up so that they can brace the catch. It's a really big thing in these tosses to keep the impact less on the catch, is to be able to grab them, slow them down.
The Gales are next up in the last heat of the toss event.
Next, the start value of a 9.9.
9.9 start value as they hit the mat.
Is it crazy to think that scores a 9.9?
So what scores a full 10?
That used to score a 10.
Wow.
That used to score a 10, which is, frustrating for coaches and teams, but exciting for the sport. Exciting for the sport that it's getting harder to get a 10.0. That means our teams are getting stronger. Our skills are getting better. Our training is getting better.
Bar keeps getting higher and
So
higher.
this is an Arabian salto toss. So you see the Arabian, she starts at the front, twist to the back. Again, assume similar in diving, a diving skill. You said your brother is a diver, so some of these things you're like, okay, yeah, I can see where that derives.
Very familiar, as he's currently competing in the MAC tournament.
Nice. So next time, have him come to the meet.
Oh, absolutely.
And talk about the skills. And again, we do recruit divers. And you see a bunch of divers that are former gymnasts. All right, we will head into break, and then we will announce those scores for the toss event and head into the tumbling event. All right, we're back with some toss event scores. Up first for the first heat, 450 salto toss, LIU with an 8.7, Iona with a 9.5. In heat 2 synchronized toss, we have LIU with an 8.45, Iona with an 8.8. And the final open heat of tosses, LIU with an 8.25, Iona with a 9.3, bringing your toss event totals 25.4 for LIU, 27.6 for Iona. And your heat totals, as it goes right now, 115.55 for LIU, 121.5 for Iona. And we are heading into the tumbling event, Heat 1, duo pass. Very synchronized. So right there you see a round off whip, back handspring, back layout 360. There's no requirements in these synchronized heats. So the first 3 heats of tumbling is going to be, the only requirement is that synchronized. So you have 2 people in the duo heat. Second heat is a trio, 3 people. And the third heat is a quad, 4 people. So you have 4 people doing the same thing. And then the last 3 heats of tumbling are your individual heats. And there's a few more requirements that come into those. You have an open pass, you have a 6-element pass, so they have to complete 6 elements. And then you also have a salto pass where they have to have at least 2 salto skills, meaning 2 skills where they don't touch their hands. And one of those passes also has to have a front element, the individual passes. So either a front tuck or a front walkover or some type of front skill for handspring front tuck. You'll see that you're required to throw into those individual passes. So 6 total heats in the tumbling event.
LIU's first pass was Cristiana DiVincenzo and Logan Lombardi.
Yes, so those are the 2 I told you. They're friends. They get to tumble together. They get to stunt together. It's great. Up next, we have Iona. They have a 10.0. So if you see, that's a large gap from LIU start value to Iona's. This is where I said you're really going to see that score get further and further apart. Ty tumbling her last season here. Portia was a very strong tumbler last year as well. That's where you say it's all impressive. What's impressive for you? That's impressive.
That felt very
They
impressive.
touched their hands 1 time to the floor, and they did 4 skills. So 3 salto skills. If you can connect salto skills without touching the hands, your start value will go up.
They'll seem very impressed with their teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that replay. Their hands never touch the floor.
And they're synchronized. Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat that one. So up next, we have the trio heat. So you see 3 athletes at the same time. You have Jalen Wright right here, number 3. She's a junior. You have Jana. She has 2 last names. She's from Spain. Guardiola Dispes. I think I've always pronounced it incorrectly. She's an upperclassman as well. And then you have Miyoko, who's a freshman. Yeah, see, I think I pronounced it right. You can see in her face, they did it wrong, not me. We got 1 hand touch. So here's also how the scoring is going to change. So there's a difference in a fall completely and just touching a hand. The same as if you step off the mat onto the floor, you get a deduction. But if both feet step off, it's bigger. If you land first and then step off, it's different. So there's different kind of levels to the deductions when it comes to tumbling as far as what a fall is, what a missed skill is. You know, and so that you're not double dipping in deductions. They really tried to crack down on that in the last few years, so that you're not getting kind of the same deductions with different names in one skill.
The importance in that recovery to limit the amount of reduction
Yes.
is very important.
Yes. And then you'll see on the side mats when there's not tumbling happening, teams are warming things up. They're doing skills. This is the time they get to prepare for a team event. So they have to get ready for that 2.5-minute routine in the middle of all these other heats. Yeah, so she landed just a hand swipe, unfortunately, and that's going to be a pretty big deduction for them, given the start value already. Vicky Zoe, she's a freshman. Mila is a sophomore, I believe. Nice, so you see she landed on the mat first and then stepped off. That deduction will look different. If my memory serves me correct, and if they haven't changed it since I've been away, it'll look different than if she were to completely land off the mat first. And maybe because only 1 foot went off the mat. I'm not sure. We'll watch the replay. I think only 1 foot went off the mat. So, yeah, again, there's levels to it. It's still deduction, but not as big as the ulterior. But there's that front skill, synchronized. Yep. And Jackie's background is pretty impressive as well. So she was an athlete at Oregon. I was actually an athlete at Oregon as well. She graduated the year that I came in. So I was never on the team with her. She had graduated right before my freshman year. I knew of her. She went on to start the program at Alderson Broaddus University in West Virginia. So it was a Division II school in Philippi, West Virginia. In the last few years, the school actually closed down. What's happening with the small schools. She went from there to Gannon University, built that program into, a finalist in nationals. Left there, just 3 years ago, to come to Iona to build this program. And I believe she has family in New York, so she's closer to home. It's a very strong resume of building programs. We've kind of been alongside in the career of building the acrobatics and tumbling sport itself across the country. So here we have the quad heat. 4 athletes. Very synchronized, very high. Those all looked really clean. I believe we had 1 freshman in that group, number 12. Olivia Donato. The rest were upperclassmen.
Having 4 athletes move and breathe as one like that is quite a feat.
Yeah. What I want to look at is the spread last year at this time at the Iona versus LIU meet.
The final score for last year's meet was by less than 20 points. So.
Oh, I remember. I remember. Iona in the quad heat. Nice, very clean. A little under rotation in the second girl from the front, but overall very clean, synchronized.
Seeing that replay of the quad pass, the Gales, 8.75 start value. It's time for the individual passes. Mayoko O'Neal for LIU.
This is a freshman. Nice. So if I'm reading this correctly, last year at the half, Iona was at LIU with a 91.6 and LIU with a 91.35. I don't know that sounds accurate, but if it is, they were both in the 90s at this point last year, at this point in the meet. So that just goes to show the athleticism that changes from year to year, the skills, the experience in the programs as well to be able to have a higher score going into that second half.
Olivia Matagano will be doing the first pass for the Gales.
Next is start value of 9.75 for Iona.
9.75 start value, is that what you said?
Nice, strong landing. So, one thing the officials are looking for in those landings, a deduction that's really big in our sport, is called movement on landing not stopped, which means if you don't land and then just controlled step forward, if you're launched forward, because you get a controlled step, but if you're launched forward, like that right there, that was a controlled step. She landed that skill, and then she took that step, so she's not going to get that deduction, right? So that's when we see where it's like the controlled step is actually the one that might be keeping a team from flying forward. And the officials know that. You can't get away with that. You will get that movement, not stopped on landing deduction.
The 50 in the tumbling event is the 6 element pass. Up first, with a start value of 9.55 from LIU, number 3, Jaden Wright.
Jaden Wright up for LIU Sharks.
Nice. So you see that 1 foot off the mat, but she landed both feet on the mat first. Joan is a junior from Kansas City, Missouri. A long way from New York.
A little far from home.
Yeah. There you go. You see after that first spinning skill, when she lands, if she doesn't reach out far enough to give her that power to finish the second half of the pass, it'll have that kind of short, crunchy ending in that final skill.
Ty Upton up next for the Gales. Start value of 10.
So not only is it hard to get a 10.0 in tosses, 10.0 tumbling passes are impressive. And you got to think, these girls are tumbling on hard floor. There's no springs here. The precision she had and the awareness she had of knowing where the end of the mat was that only comes from doing that skill so many times that you know exactly what your body is supposed to do and going to do when you land it. And that's been her signature pass for a long time, that whip Arabian through that 4.5. And she was competing that pass at Gannon, if I'm not mistaken, as well, before coming to Iona. So it's something that she's, at this point, perfected.
Oh, quite a special relationship between her and Jackie as we
Yes.
saw her hug her after that pass.
Just pretty line, straight legs, the landing, and then just that tiny step forward, controlled.
Impressive awareness.
You know, the attention to detail that not only athletes have, but that the coaching requires, you know, to give them that is, you can really see that in Iona's program.
Up first, the start value of 8.75 from LAU, number 7, Riley Dean.
So this is our second freshman that is in a individual pass from LIU. Very strong pass, strong landing. Again, you know, these skills are good, but it's just the start values that Iona is going to be able to edge up even more. And we'll wait for those scores. We saw Iona's open pass up next. Also a 10.0, finishing off the tumbling event strong. From Portia Dryden. A junior from Richmond Hill, Ontario, Canada. They actually have another athlete from Canada on their team. And LIU has an athlete from Canada as well. There's that triple salto, whip, 4.5 pass. That is super impressive. I think we saw that in the duo pass. Really hard to do. I mean, they don't have springs, so when you think, we bring gymnasts into this sport, competitive cheerleaders, they're used to springs on their feet. And you have to retrain their angles to get them to be able to do these skills on the hard floor, because it's different. You don't have anything bouncing back with you. You're generating the power. So you spend those first few months in your program working on those basics, retraining all of that. Everything you've learned your whole life, retraining it.
Quite a pass from Portia. She has been with this program since its inaugural season, and she did very well in that pass.
All right, we will head into break and come back for your tumbling scores for you as we head into the team event, our very last event of the meet. All right, we are back. They are currently announcing the tumbling scores. Right, we have our meet totals with LIU at 160.15 and Iona at 175. Going into the very last event, our team event. So what we're looking for in the team event, there's different requirements they have. You have to have 30 acro elements. You have to have 21 standing tumbling passes. 12 of them have to be synchronized. 21 running tumbling passes, 12 have to be synchronized. You have to do 4 basket tosses, 2 have to be synchronized. And you have to do 4 pyramids, and 2 have to be synchronized. So there's a lot going on in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, with a maximum of 24 people. So what you want to do is find people to be in the team event that can tumble and stunt, or else you run out of people, and you need more things. So when we say utility and specialist, it's going to be usually athletes that maybe aren't in team event because they don't do all of it. So these are going to be your all-around players, mostly. Not always. So within this event, in the acro elements, you have to have one section where 3 or more groups are synchronizing skills. So if a group falls in that synchronized portion, they lose that skill and they get docked for lack of synchronization of the required skills.
Truly so much to cover in such a short amount of time.
Yes. And 2 things can't happen at once. So you can't do standing tumbling and running tumbling at the same time. You can't do a pyramid and a toss at the same time. So right when something lands, a next thing has to go up. So when you see a program that doesn't have a full roster, like our new programs might have 18 athletes on the team, it's hard for them to get all the skills in. They end up getting very tired by the end. So if you can do 3 pyramids, you can do 4 pyramids at once. You knocked out a whole requirement in one section. Not all programs can do that. And then you have the dance of every team event. So you're not really scored on the dance. You get 10 points no matter what. It's just a time to have fun. They get to play with it. Very strong routine for the first routine of the season. A few mistakes, a few falls. Overall, I can see, some of those athletes aren't doing the skills that they'll probably end up doing in the next meets. It's probably a little bit watered down for the first meet, which is always a smart decision. So you can keep things in the air, you can stay on your feet, and you can hold on to that score just a little bit longer.
You'll find the 2026 meet schedule and results, information about NCATA members, and links to NCATA social media, as well as information about becoming a coach, student athlete, or official in society sport. Visit thencata.org today.
As we watch the replay of the team routine for the LIU Sharks, the Gales are getting ready to hit the floor for their team routine as well.
So we have varying start values in the team event for both teams. So LIU's start value for their team routine was a 96.27. So anytime you're kind of under, as a more competitive program, under that 100 start value of something, it usually means it's watered down. And you can see that start value probably go up as the season goes. Iona is at a 104.91, and I believe the max is a 110. 110. I could be wrong, I believe. I believe it's 110. So, but just the difference in their start values here is what? 8 points? Yeah? Is that my math? 96 to 104? 8 points? Okay. So, that's 8 points that on top of the other change or the other, spread, LIU would have to make up, right? Without deductions, which almost makes this point of the meet just one of those like, all right, next time, So then you really just have to go out there and just do what you're gonna do, and anything can happen, right?
Team event has the most points up for grab.
Yes.
Second most would be the tumbling with 60 points up for grab.
Yes.
So very important last
So
event.
the second half holds more weight.
Yes.
So when a team is stronger in the second half,
Gales appear to be circling up right before their team event. My question for you, Shelby, where does the music come from for the team routines?
Exactly. So, historically, I would have my teams give me song suggestions. When I was at LIU, we got lucky. We had some girls on the team that love music and house music, and we let them play their own plays at practice. So it was pretty easy to find music for them. And then I also teach group fitness, so I just know music and remixes and high energy and octane and what sounds good and things. So I would always ask them for what they want. What do you like? We would create a spreadsheet. I think a lot of teams do this, because you want the athletes to enjoy the music. And not just, if I put it together, they're going to think I'm old, right? I'm a millennial. So, we will make fun of that. So, we let them mostly put it together, and then we will hire a music guy. So, we'll hire somebody that does usually cheer music. And we don't have a lot of the dings and bells that you hear in cheer music. So, that's what makes it a little bit different. And then just more seamless transitions, I would say. But yeah, I mostly let them kind of pick and then go from there on what we think sounds good, placing it in places.
An expression of the team's identity.
It is an expression of the team's identity, or the group of people who cared to submit songs. You always find those people who cared and other people who are like, I trust you, So you're putting the identity in the hands of a few people who want to listen to certain things. It's usually going to be the music you hear playing in the locker room,
Sounds about right.
Same songs, and then just put them into remixes. We have Iona up next with their team event, the last heat of the day. The 104.91 start value.
Already a New York identity for the Gales with that music.
Yep.
Place.
You can see here, the difficulty in the tumbling already. Lots of standing fulls happening here. That's a very impressive skill to be able to not only do it, have multiple people who can do it, and be tired and do it. You can see just kind of how they spring off of this floor. Just one-to-one handstands in the back. At this point in the pyramid, very impressive. This point in the routine, very impressive. Do you feel like the tumbling is never ending? It came back for more because you have to fit 21 passes in here. And then a lot of teams will save the thing that they know they can do when they're tired last, which is going to be a toss because there's no holds. It's multiple people just throwing it in the air. It's a very solid, clean routine. I think we had 2 falls, 2 tumbling falls, maybe 1 tumbling touch, or just maybe a foot off the mat. But overall, pretty strong for their first routine. Seeing where they go from here will be very exciting.
Beginning of the season,
Yeah.
anything's on the table.
I know. And it's exciting as a coach, you know, for any program. And then the first meet of the year, you get to really see who your athletes are that can perform, can handle the pressure, you know, what happens to them on game day, how they warm up, you know, how they need to be talked to, how they need to be pepped up. Maybe they need to be left alone, you know. You kind of see all of that in the first meet, and you get your grounds and figure out what's next.
Next up for the Gales, they face Morgan State at home on the 21st of February, and then end their home stretch against Baylor on March 9th. Very exciting to have.
Baylor meet will be March 9th. That'll be, what do they have? A little less than a month to prepare for that. That's going to be a highly watched meet because Baylor's number 1, Iona's number 4. The Baylor coach used to coach Jackie at Oregon. Baylor coach used to coach me at Oregon as well. So it's always fun to go against your former coach. But they have similar skills. They have similar start values. And I know Jackie watered some things down for this meet. She's got almost a month to get those skills ready to go for that meet. That's going to be probably their biggest meet of their season, I'm assuming. So that'll be really fun. I'll be here for the Baylor meet, so that'll be exciting.
Should be a fun time. Then they end their season with 3 away meets. Oregon on the 15th of March, Augusta on the 18th of March, and Quinnipiac on the 28th of March.
All very good programs. So Augustana is a Division II program. South Dakota, they're a really strong program. Their head coach was a Baylor alum. And then they're going to Oregon, which is exciting. It's Jackie's alma mater. The Oregon coach is an Oregon alum. And then Quinnipiac is also a very strong program out of Connecticut. My former assistant coach is actually the assistant coach over there now, and it's also her. She's an alum from there as well. So, and Jackie was very close with Marianne as well, the head coach at Quinnipiac. So, you know, the acro world is also small, and everybody kind of knows everybody, has worked with everybody. All the things. So they have an exciting season. They have a strong schedule. And in our sport, the strength of the schedule is so important because you have to play ranked teams to get ranked. So if you beat a team that isn't ranked, it doesn't matter. You got to play the ranked teams to get ranked. And so their schedule is set up to play those ranked teams because the strength of your competition is important at the end of it.
Absolutely. We are waiting on the team scores. But as it stands right now, before the team scores, the Gales are up 157 flat to 160.15.
So that's about 15 points.
How heavy are those mats they're rolling around right now?
You know, I don't, as someone who did it for so long, it's not that heavy to me. But somebody who doesn't know how to move a mat, they struggle. It's all relative, you know. But yeah, I mean, every program mostly. I don't know if Iona has their own facility yet. I think they were supposed to have one. Maybe they do, but most programs have to roll their mats out every practice. Roll them back up, because usually your facility is not yours. You got to share it with basketball or volleyball. My first years at Oregon, we actually practiced on the football practice field indoor facility turf.
Wow.
So we rolled our mats out onto the turf. So we learned our tumbling and our drills and everything on the turf. And then once a week we would tumble. We would go to the gym where we would compete, and we would tumble and we would fly, because the natural gym floor has a little bit of spring under it, or whatever it is. I don't think it's spring, but you would bounce. So we would have to make sure that we practiced in the gym before a meet, or else we would go to our meet and over rotate.
Oh no.
Yep. So they don't do that at Oregon anymore. They only practice in the gym. And I think there were some injuries and impact too with practicing on the turf, just overuse, kind of.
Imagine.
Yeah. Team event takes the longest to score.
I can imagine there's
so much going on.
happening.
And they don't get to watch a replay either.
Oh.
So the officials never get a replay. They have to score in the moment.
That's
Yep.
intense pressure.
Actually went through the officials training, and I said, no.
We now have the team event scores and the final scores for today's meet. In the team event, for LIU, 64.06.
64.06 for LIU in the team
In the
score.
team event, for Iona, 87.66.
87.66 for the Gales.
LIU's final score is 224.210.
221.240 is the final score for LIU.
And Iona finishes with a final score of 262.66.
262.66 final score for the Gales,
Your Iona Gales!
which means the Gales win.
Is that 40 points?
Just about, I believe. A little less than that. But
All right. The Gales win for the first matchup of the season for both teams, I believe. This is Iona's first meet as well, yes?
yes,
So good luck to both of these programs this season.
so they head into their third year of
Both of
competition.
them, yes.
Both teams.
Yes.
Very exciting way to start the season. From the Heinz Center, we have the Gales winning. Final score once again is 262.66 for the Gales and 224.21 for LIU. Signing off from the Heinz Center, I'm Elizabeth Riccio alongside my
Shelby
broadcast partner,
Armstrong.
Shelby Armstrong. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to check back on February 21st as the Gales take on Morgan State.